welcome to this seminar where we want to share the results of our 2-year Erasmus Plus project under the title of HEART, Safeguarding Intangible Cultural Heritage Through Transformative Learning Within Community-Based Art. My name is Anna-Mari Martinviita, and I work at Kansalaisfoorumi in Finland as a member of the coordinating team for this project. Altogether, we are 5 European cultural organizations that have been working together, supported by the Erasmus Plus program across 4 corners of Europe. Kansalaisfoorumi in Finland has worked as the coordinator of the project with 4 partners: the University of Eastern Finland, Asociația Perseidele in Romania, Blue Beehive in Spain, and Educator in Ireland. You will hear more about each of the project partners throughout this seminar. We're, of course, very excited today to be publishing the HEART Digital Toolkit for Educators. The whole project was set up to produce this toolkit, to create and share tools for teaching intangible cultural heritage. And we did this by running 5 pilot processes by each of the partners, where we developed and tested new ways of engaging with cultural heritage by using communal art education methods, and particularly by bringing art educators together with heritage experts to develop these pilot courses where intangible cultural heritage was a very strong theme throughout. Each partner was also working with a different area of cultural heritage, a different heritage theme. So we were able to test our tools in a really nice variety of settings. We also recorded these pilot processes in several ways, including the use of 360 cameras, which we wanted to test in the project, along with other technological tools. We also looked at the learning processes through the lens of transformative learning. So we stopped at several stages of the project to consider the transformation that could be brought about through these processes, and perhaps was brought about for the participants as well as the art educators, heritage experts, and the partners ourselves through working in this project. I'll introduce the pilots briefly now, and you'll get to hear more about them from the art educators themselves later in the seminar. In the Finnish pilot by Kansalaisfoorumi, we explored intangible cultural heritage through methods from the literary arts, led by educator Timo Harju. So the participants engaged in a variety of writing exercises where they explored their own connections to intangible cultural heritage, and we also used the Kaustin and fiddle tradition as a sort of catalyst for the thought processes, with heritage expert Olli Seikkula bringing insight into his own experience of the tradition. The second Finnish pilot by the University of Eastern Finland centered around the small village of Mujejärvi and engaged local residents in workshops that reflected on the cultural heritage of villagehood. The participants examined old photographs from the village and then paired them with new photos to create a dialogue with the past and present, which they then built into an exhibition that can also be viewed online. In Romania, Asociația Perseidele created a pilot course where participants learned to do a traditional Saxon style of wood painting, including also learning about the cultural significance of the patterns in the painting and about the connections of the craft to their local community's history. In Spain, 2 workshops arranged by Blue Beehive combined reading with ceramics. So the participants explored local cultural traditions through listening to a book about the region's heritage, followed by creating ceramic art inspired by the themes of the reading, which meant that they were able to explore what the local history meant for them through listening, talking, and hands-on working with clay. And finally, in Ireland, the pilot by Educator combined traditional Irish music with the storytelling tradition linked to place names in the local area of the participants. The participants experienced the stories through listening to a storyteller and visiting physical locations linked to the stories. And then they worked together with an art educator to arrange and compose and perform pieces of music in response to the stories. So these are the pilot processes we've recorded and analyzed and combined into the toolkit you get to find out about today, and hopefully also put to use in your own activities. But before I give the floor to Ronan, who will present the toolkit to you, I'll just remind you of the schedule for today and also explain the technological setup we have for the seminar here. So coming up in the seminar, we've got a demo of the toolkit. We're then going to take a closer look at the information and our understanding and approach to intangible cultural heritage. Next, we'll hear from the art educators on their experience of running these pilot courses, the methods that they employed, what they learned during the process. And finally, we'll talk about our particular approach of combining the ideas of transformative learning with the topic of intangible cultural heritage and communal art education. And you will hear about what the experience was like for some of the participants as well. This part of the seminar is taking place here on YouTube, and some of you are viewing via Zoom as well. You're very much free to use the live chat function here on YouTube to send questions, comments. We'd love to hear from you, or use the chat on Zoom, or you can also use our Padlet to post messages. These links are all in the video description, and we're also posting them in the live chat. We're all participating actively in the chat here on YouTube, and we will collect all your questions and comments from the chat into the Padlet so that we can make sure to respond to everything at the question and answer session at the end of this seminar. So the question and answer session will take place on Zoom. And the link for that is also in the video description, and we will post it in the chat as well. And there will be a short break to make sure everyone has time to get onto Zoom at the end of the seminar. So if you're viewing on YouTube, please feel free to stay here and join the Zoom once we move into the question and answer session. You get the best image and sound quality viewing directly via YouTube, and we've of course have a lot of video material in the seminar. And participating in the live chat here and in the question and answer session, we've got all of our 5 partners that you can see here in this picture from our last project meeting in Ireland earlier this year. So please guys, introduce yourselves, say hello in the chat, and we'll also be there for the question and answer session a little later so you can see all of us then. So if you have any questions about the program or YouTube or Padlet or Zoom, please just post in the chat and we will definitely help you out. But now it is time for me to give the floor to Ronan O'Doherty from Educator in Ireland, and Ronan will present the toolkit to us.
Fáilte Rova Charge, Misha Ronan O'Doherty. My name is Ronan O'Doherty and I'm speaking to you today from Educator in the northwest of Ireland and the very western end of Europe. We were one of 5 European partners who collaborated on the HEART project, and I think you can see the results of that collaboration, of that shared experience and input from all the partners in the final results of the project. It's my pleasure to introduce to you today the HEART website and digital toolkit. You can visit the website right now at www.eduheart.eu. And what we're going to do in this session is help you to get the absolute best out of the website and all of the features available therein. With the design of the website, we want to communicate two important aspects of the project, that is, intangible cultural heritage and community-based art, while making the website as accessible and as easy to use to the widest group of people as possible. It is a multilingual website with all of the content in the digital toolkit and the vast majority of the rest of the content in the website available in 5 languages: English, Spanish, Finnish, the Irish language, and Romanian. And by making the website multilingual, we hope to reach the widest group of people possible. It was also important to us in terms of accessibility that the website be usable on a wide array of devices, and this is a fully responsive website usable on desktop, tablet and mobile devices. Within the digital toolkit, there is also potential to make use of some of the material offline, and this is something I'll discuss a little bit later. Now, the most important section of the website, of course, is our digital educator toolkit, and you can dive straight in here if you want. Before I talk about it, however, I'd like to show you some of the other sections on the website. And as you will hear in the other sessions today, the Heart Digital Toolkit has been very much grounded and tested by the 5 pilot projects undertaken by our partners. There are many samples and examples from the pilot projects within the digital toolkit, and it may be useful for you to get a bit of background information and context about those projects and how they happened. So on our website, we have an About section, which gives you a brief outline of the overall project and what we aim to achieve. We have a section regarding the various partners involved in the project, giving you an idea of their background and their goals for the project and what they hope to achieve by participating in Heart. Very importantly is the pilot studies section. So here we have a record of each of the pilot studies, how they were carried out and what were their results. They are useful for you to get a sense of what was involved in each of the projects, how we implement the methods proposed by Heart in practice. They also serve as an interesting record of the various intangible cultural heritage types studied and safeguarded by the various pilot projects. Remember, they each served as an intervention to help preserve and transmit a particular aspect of intangible cultural heritage in each of the participating countries. And within the pilot pages, you can see how the projects were carried out, see what was learned, what was preserved, and how it affected the communities involved. Of course, this project is carried out with support from the Erasmus Plus European Union programme, and there is some information about that programme here. And finally, our blog served as a record of the development of the project. And if you want to get an idea of the various questions considered by the project partners, how they deliberated on them, how they decided and reached their conclusions about the best approaches to take, you can find discussion of many of these points here, along with interesting insights into the various ICH types as well. Now, returning to the digital toolkit, this is a collection of resources for educators, community groups, people involved in heritage, people involved in art education, anyone who is interested in the themes and topics covered by the Heart project. The toolkit is made up of 52 individual units, which cover all aspects of designing, organising, implementing and learning from an art education programme with a heritage focus. It is non-linear and structured so that you can access it and use it in a variety of ways. For example, The units of the toolkit here are divided into 4 main themes, which cover the process both in terms of the theory of intangible cultural heritage and methods we can employ to learn about it. Pedagogical or teaching methods, practical things that will help you learn and understand the process of implementing an art education program in which heritage is central. Some innovative methods to use and incorporate technology in the work of an art education program, and the underlying theory which underpins the work of the HEART project, how all of these things can be tied together to create a transformative learning experience. You can learn from this, study this, understand this from beginning to end, or you can simply dip in and take the pieces which are most useful to you at that time. To aid in this, there are a number of other methods to browse the toolkit. Here it's broken down into individual topics, which again cover theoretical and practical questions, from teaching methods to creative writing to how to organise a field trip. These are designed to help you obtain the information you need most at that time. There's also a search functionality, so you can just search for specific words and keywords within the collection and find them directly. The toolkit also includes a number of additional resources which do not form a central part of the toolkit, but that may help you if you are interested in exploring some things further. This includes a resource bank of some downloadable materials created by the project, as well as a list of ICH links that will provide more information on aspects of intangible cultural heritage and how it is preserved and promoted in the various countries involved in the project. For the time being, let's take a look at some individual units under the various themes. To find out more about what intangible cultural heritage is, how we recognise it, and how interventions, such as the kind proposed by HEART, can help safeguard intangible cultural heritage, we have a number of articles in the Explore Intangible Cultural Heritage section which give you all of the background information. You may be interested in this as an individual or as an educator. It can help you clarify what you're trying to do. The largest section of the digital toolkit goes under the title Find Pedagogical Tools for Teaching Heritage. Under this theme, we have more than 30 individual units which cover all aspects of preparing and implementing an educational program, as well as individual classes and activities. Here, for example, we have step-by-step instructions related to planning a field trip with a heritage focus and how you can get the most from doing such an activity. Here, as in a number of other units, we have a number of 360 videos giving you an immersive experience and showing exactly how the field trip was implemented. The various units make use of longer and shorter texts, as well as image and video to give the most whole and complete picture of the implementation of the various techniques in the digital toolkit. We see also units that demonstrate how heritage can be integrated into the teaching of music, language, mathematics, even computer science and business. Here, for example, a local business owner talks about how valuing heritage had an effect on the local economy. To produce the HEART Educator toolkit, we made use of a number of innovative digital techniques, and we'd like to help you incorporate these into your teaching where appropriate. In this section, we have units dealing with 360-degree cameras, available online digital resources, and things like creating a virtual exhibition as a way to preserve and showcase local intangible cultural heritage. The remaining units in the digital toolkit deal with the outcomes of these kinds of educational interventions. The main idea of the HEART project, using community-based art education as a way to safeguard intangible cultural heritage, is underpinned by the idea of transformative learning. Here we get an overview of transformative learning, what it is and how it's implemented, and we hear the experience of participants in some of the HEART projects. As well as this, we talk about an important aspect of the transformative approach, which is incorporating participant experiences and obtaining their feedback. Again, I would emphasize that the toolkit is non-linear and you can jump in at any point. If you just want to grab a technique that's useful for you to teach a particular subject, you can do that. Or you can incorporate the ideas of the HEART project in part or in full. You, as the user, have full control. Finally, I'd just like to highlight two features common to all of the units in the digital toolkit. We recognize that the digital toolkit may be used in various scenarios, both connected and unconnected. Sometimes you might want to use it with a group of people that don't have access to internet or a Wi-Fi connection. For this reason, printable versions of each of the units are available just by clicking on the print button here. This will give you a printable version which can also be downloaded as a PDF if you so wish. Each of the printed articles include a QR code. So if you are working with a group of people, people can use their own individual devices to scan the QR code and they will be taken directly to the article and the multimedia items like the videos will be accessible there. Equally, you can also provide access to people to the toolkit materials on their individual devices by simply displaying a QR code on the screen like so. This can be scanned by people in the classroom and they will be able to open the article on their own device. So I hope you will take some time to explore and enjoy using the digital toolkit. With over 50 units, there's something here for everyone, whether you're interested in the intangible cultural heritage content, in the teaching methodologies, in the use of technology, or in the overall approach to designing an art education program with a heritage focus. I hope you'll be able to incorporate at least some of the knowledge from the digital toolkit and the HEART project in general in your own initiatives. And don't forget to visit the website at www.eduheart.eu. Slán go fóill.
Thank you so much, Ronan. Agus gorobh míle maith. We certainly hope you'll all go and browse through the toolkit and find ideas for your own educational activities and events. Next, we have a presentation on how we approached intangible cultural heritage in this project through the different pilot courses and why it's very important to safeguard our intangible cultural heritage.
Intangible cultural heritage. What is it? Why is it important? How did we in the HEART project safeguard it? Intangible cultural heritage encompasses the traditions, knowledge, and skills that have been passed down through generations. This heritage includes practices, expressions, and beliefs that shape our communities and sense of identity. In this video, we explore why preserving safeguarding cultural heritage is essential for future generations and give examples on what we have done in our project to safeguard it. To understand intangible cultural heritage and the importance of it, it's best to first go through what it means in practice. Intangible cultural heritage, or ICH, includes, for example, the oral traditions, performing arts, social practices, rituals, knowledge, and skills that communities recognize as part of their cultural identity. It can be as diverse as folk songs, culinary traditions, festivals, or craftsmanship techniques. These elements all contribute to our shared humanity, connecting us with the past and helping us adapt in the ever-changing world. If you think about it, intangible cultural heritage is everywhere. It is found in every region and within every community worldwide. If we look at our diverse project pilot contents, we get a lot of good examples on intangible cultural heritage. The University of Eastern Finland worked with villagers to explore intangible cultural heritage related to villagehood. The village itself preserves the villagehood themes through an active village association that was the main partner during the pilot. They hosted workshops related to old photos, gathered stories and objects, took new photos related to the found themes and brought all of this together in an exhibition. The other Finnish partner explored intangible cultural heritage using the tools of literary arts. The process drew inspiration from the communal spirit and traditions of Koston and fiddle playing. The pilot process activities ranged from creating tradition-themed mind maps to writing exercises that employed all 5 senses, enabling participants to share and reflect on their cultural experiences. The Spanish partner, Blue Beehive, delved into ceramics. Not just the creation, but also the physical and mental benefits ceramics has. The participants of the pilot freely created objects such as plates, pots, jugs and other decorative objects. In another workshop, they combined reading and ceramics by connecting the local literature to a creative approach. They read a book, got explanations on the situations, words and phrases in it, and after that, they started creating the main character of the book out of clay. The Irish partner, Oideas Gales, pilot project explored storytelling and a sense of place through the medium of Irish traditional music. The pilot was inspired by a particular genre of storytelling in which the stories give meaning to the name of a particular place. With the participants of the course they hosted, they created a musical performance inspired by the aspects of local heritage in County Donegal and traditional music. Every participant noted that they gained a new perspectives on the area they live in. The Romanian partner introduced their pilot participants to an element of intangible heritage from Transylvania, the painted furniture in the style of Transylvanian Saxons. They had 3 practical workshops, where they learned the techniques related to painting the furniture and got to learn about the history and philosophy connected to the tradition. All of this work was done with the help of art educators and using various community-based art methods. By valuing local knowledge and creativity like in our project pilots, we strengthen cultural diversity. If you want to know more about the specifics of the intangible cultural heritage our pilots and the project has included, you can find information on the pilots and on heritage experts and art educators involved in the process from our webpage. In addition to the digital toolkit, the pilot groups and their activities in all the different countries served as valuable interventions in the regions in which they take place, increasing engagement with valuable aspects of intangible cultural heritage and empowering educators and learners. Then we can think about why intangible cultural heritage is important. This heritage matters because it sustains community identity, pride, and continuity. Preserving ICH fosters respect for cultural diversity and promotes social cohesion. For communities, this living heritage is a resource to pass on values, resilience, and skills that strengthen bonds across generations. Safeguarding intangible cultural heritage is not just something recognized by us in the Heart Project. Since in 2003, UNESCO adopted the Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage, recognizing the importance of preserving non-material forms of culture. This international framework encourages countries to document, protect, and celebrate their intangible heritage, helping local communities play an active role in safeguarding practices. Protecting ICH today involves balancing preservation with adaptation. By supporting projects, workshops, and educational programs, communities can protect and revitalize their cultural expressions. So in conclusion, intangible cultural heritage represents our shared and diverse human history, giving meaning to our lives and connecting us across boundaries. Through active preservation and promotion, we can ensure that these invaluable cultural expressions continue to inspire future generations and no one must feel like their culture is disappearing. When connected to learning, intangible cultural heritage can be a fruitful starting point for a transformative learning process and for reflecting on one's experiences, thoughts, feelings, and assumptions about identity, culture, and cultural diversity. Next, we invite you to take part in a short Padlet activity. Your task is to think and write down in the Padlet what intangible cultural heritage means to you, and then also think about what kind of ICH you live through or experience during your daily life. You have 5 minutes to think about the meanings and experiences, and fill out the Padlet. This same Padlet will be used also for the transformative learning part of this seminar, so you can leave it open in another tab.
All right, everyone, I invite you to come back to the seminar screen now after hopefully a fruitful and inspirational session thinking about the many kinds of intangible cultural heritage that are present in all of our lives. And we can come back to those thoughts at the question and answer session after these seminar presentations. But next we're going to hear from the art educators that led the pilot groups to find out what the experience was like for them.
Victoria has a background in iconography as well as expertise in Saxon painted furniture, so she was able to use heritage understanding with artistry in her workshops.
Simt de foarte multe ori când lucrez la un ornament, cum mâna mi se duce din obișnuință, mi se duce după niște tipare învățate din mobila săsească. Am tendința să fac contururi și lucruri și atingeri dintr-o singură mișcare, așa cum am învățat acolo, să amestec culorile ca în ornamentica săsească. Am lucrat mulți ani în domeniul acesta și simt că de fiecare dată când pictez, pe undeva mi s-a întipărit în maniera de lucru un reflex din pictura săsească.
Sonia is an experienced visual artist, so she focused on the creative process of ceramics, while Chara, as a literature educator, was able to bring storytelling and community interaction to the workshops.
Mujer que sea lo mínimo. Así, porque si no se esclafa el barro y no se trabaja bien. Antes de darle de suavizar arrugas, tú acábala. Hazle los ojos, luego ya la trabajamos bien.
El que esperava dels participants era que, amb els meus llibres, que coneixeren un poc la tradició i els costums populars, però amb la barreja de la ceràmica. Normalment jo, quan faig els tallers, sempre conto el conte i després sempre faig una titella.
Helen is a music therapist and a traditional Irish singer and musician, so she was able to encourage the course participants to engage their creativity in expressing the local stories through music.
Mai tásúla ceol bríomhar agus Honest go mbeadh codars na.
Also she was just chaplain ceol ar fad bheith musicianta. She's called chaplain. You know, especially the usage. She's called a batch. PC. No,
Timo is a poet and an educator in the literary arts, as well as having a background in cultural history. He used these skills and interests in leading the course participants to explore and express their cultural heritage through innovative writing exercises.
Se mun taidelaji, niin se sanataide, niin mehän tehtiin niin kuin tekstejä. Esimerkiksi käytiin perinteitä ja sitten jokainen valitsi perinteen, miten sitä perinteen, jota käsittelee, ja sitten myös jonkun sanataidejutun, minkä sitä tekee. Ja esimerkiksi yksi osallistuja teki niin kuin uusia sananlaskuja ja toinen taas kirjoitti niin kuin semmoista niin kuin lapsuusmuistoproosaa. Ja ne oli niin kuin erityyppisiä niin kuin asioita, mitä itse kukainenkin niin kuin teki.
Mia is a visual artist with a deep connection to the region of North Karelia. She used her experience in various artistic mediums to foster an innovative community-based project, creating a dialogue between the past and present.
Eli aloitettiin se projekti niin, että me olin yhteydessä sinne Nurmekseen ja annoin heille sitten tehtäväksi, että kyläläiset kun me tullaan käymään, niin esittelis sitä omaa kylää ja mitä siihen liittyy ja minkälaisia asioita he haluaa niin itse esittää. Ja siinä sitten just ajattelin sitä, että sieltä tuli sellaisia asioita, mitä he itse haluaa nostaa esille siitä kylästä ja perinteistä, mitä siellä on. Ja sitten, että kukin saisi niin sitä omasta taustastaan ja siihen, miten liittyy siihen kylään ja niihin siellä oleviin perinteisiin. Ja siinä aika hyvin sit saattiinkin sellaisia, että kun he oli itse tuonut kuvia ja tarinoita ja toimintaa, mitä esimerkiksi kyläyhdistys on tehnyt, niin saatiin tavallaan sitä heidän omaa näkökulmaa nimenomaan sit sieltä nostettua.
Semmoisia perusasioita, mitä haettiin, oli semmoinen niin kuin tavallaan niin kuin juurtuminen ja juurten kasvattaminen johonkin asiaan, niin kuin jonkun kokeminen niin kuin omaksi. Siihen esimerkiksi toi aistimuisto, niin se on hyvin semmoinen niin kuin mahdottava asia, että muistot tulee todellisiksi, kun ne kokee niin kuin eri aisteilla. Kirjoittajat päästään lukijan mukaan sillä lailla, että ne kirjoittaa kaikilla aisteilla. Ja se on niin kuin semmoinen perusjuttu, että ei ole mitään yleistä diipadaapaa, vaan todella koettua. Niin se tuntuu kirjoittajasta merkityksellistä ja se on myös, kun se jakaa muille, niin ne on niin kuin merkityksellisempiä. Niin se on niin kuin perus jotenkin kirjoittamista, luovan kirjoittamisen puolelta tuleva harjoitus. Ja sitten esine kertoo, eikö niin? Se tulee toki myös niin kuin sanataiteen puolelta sillä tavalla, että se on usein todella niin kuin herkullinen harjoite, jossa otetaan joku oma esine ja annetaan sen esineen puhua. Et jotenkin se on perusinhimillistä, että me koetaan esine elävänä. Se tulee jostain varmaan niin kuin lapsuudesta, että meillä on niin kuin nukkeja ja me leikitään. Se kanava on jostain syystä niin kuin aikuisillekin jotenkin helppo löytää. Se on tosi kiinnostavaa, että miten me ei niin kuin ajatella sitä niin kuin aktiivisesti yleensä, useimmat meistä koko ajan, mutta kun otetaan niin kuin esine ja mitä se sanoo, ja se on tosi tavoitettava niin kuin aikuisillekin. En tiedä, mistä se johtuu, mutta se on tosi kiinnostavaa, että se on niin, että sillä pääsee niin kuin liikkeelle, syntyy hyvin tekstiä. Se, että esine puhuu, niin usein se auttaa jotenkin niin kuin löytämään siihen uuden näkökulman. Että ihminen on itse niin kuin fiksautunut, että tämä asia menee näin, mutta sitten kun pikkusen vaihtaa, niin esineen kautta yhtäkkiä löytääkin hirveästi uutta sanottavaa, tai se onkin näin ja näin ja näin. Että ehkä siinä on joku semmoinen, niin kuin, vaihtaa näkökulmaa, pääsee luutuneiden ajatusten ohi, mutta siinä on myös jotain, että se auttaa niin kuin häpeitten ohi ja semmoista ohi, että pystyykin niin kuin sanomaan suoraan. Itse en viitti sanoa asioita suoraan, mutta kun esine pääsee tykittämään, niin sieltä alkaa niin kuin tulla asioita. Niin se on niin kuin tosi hyvä, kun haluaa ylipäänsä löytää niin kuin mitään sanottavaa. Ja sitten se tuntui sopivan tähän aineeton niin kuin kulttuuriperintöaiheeseen myös sillä lailla, että vaikka meillä onkin niin kuin aineetonta kulttuuriperintöä, niin meillä on myös sitä niin kuin aineellista kulttuuriperintöistä esinettä. Mutta sitten se, että miten ihmiset kokee sen esineen ja on sen kanssa ja kertoo sitä ja mitä kaikkea siihen niin kuin liittyy, niin sehän on niin kuin sitä aineetonta. Ja jotenkin siihen aineettomaan pääsee vaan tosi hyvin käsiksi, kun se esine kertoo, miten se niin kuin kokee. Et jotenkin sitä pääsee niin kuin, jotenkin sillä hassusti lähemmäs ihmistä, kun esine kertoo. Että tavallaan sitä aineetonta, mikä ei suoraan siinä esineessä olisi. Niitä muistojen niin kuin kerrostumia ja kaikkea, mitä siihen voi niin kuin liittyä, ja osaamista ja taitoa ja kaikkea. Niin jotenkin se esine pystyy kertomaan siitä niin kuin suoremmin ja paremmin kuin ihmiset. Et siinä, missä esine kertoo, voi toimia niin kuin vaikka vaikeista muistoista kertomiseen ja vähän hankalista ja häpeällistä aiheista kertomiseen suoremmin, niin se niin kuin sopii myös ihan samalla tavalla niin kuin perinne lähti niin kuin luontevasti siitä liikkeelle myös.
el que estava dient, la connexió que es va crear entre ells, es retroalimentaven uns en altres. El que no sabia fer uno, l'altre li explicava. O a lo millor deia alguna paraula que alguna persona no sabia i l'altra sí que sabia o l'havia coneixut o la coneixia per els seus avis o per els seus pares i li l'explicava el sentit de la paraula. Era un aprenentatge mutuo.
Siinä varmaan niin kuin lähtökohtaisesti ajattelen sitä, että tehdään yhdessä, että semmoinen yhteishengen luominen ja semmoinen me-ajattelu alusta asti siinä, että me niin kuin tehdään yhdessä tätä ja kaikki on osallisia, että niin kuin semmoiset osallisuuden kokemukset ja että kaikki on jollain tavalla osallisia ja sitten, että kaikki voi ehkä osallistua myös niin kuin eri tavoilla, että itselle ominaisilla tavoilla tai että jos tulee joku semmoinen ajatus siellä, että en mie osaa tätä, että en vaikka osaa kirjoittaa tätä tarinaa, niin sitten sen voi kertoa tai sen tyyppisesti, että kaikille on sellainen luonteva tapa osallistua siihen. Ja semmoinen, että pystyy luomaan sellaisen niin kuin turvallisen tilan sit kertoa niitä tarinoita myös omasta itsestä siinä prosessissa.
Joo, mitenkäs vertaisoppiminen sitten, eli miten lähestyt sitä vertaisoppimista tässä?
No varmaan siinä tulee tällaisessa prosessissa niin kuin luontevasti semmoista, että sekä niin kuin meidän työryhmäläisten kesken, että musta se on aina niin kuin mielenkiintoista, että on eri alojen ihmisiä, eri alojen ammattilaisia, jotka sitten tavallaan jakaa sitä, että miten itse on tehnyt tai miten toisella tyylillä on tehty. Ja sitten siinä keskusteluissa, että kun se on semmoista jaettua tekemistä ja keskustelua, niin siinä varmaan luontaisesti tulee sellaista vertaisoppimista myös, että sieltä niitä näkökulmia nousee erilaisia ja tarinoita ja tavallaan pystytään niistä niin kuin keskustelemaan ja oppimaan sitten. Ja sitten tässä varmasti myös se semmoinen vastaanotto, että minkälaisen vastaanoton sitten se lopullinen näyttely ja ne jaetut tarinat saa, että siitä myös sit pystyy saamaan itselleen sellaista ehkä eri ikäpolvienkin palautetta tai on joku ajatus siitä, että mikä se on se meidän toiminta tai mitä me aiotaan tehdä tai minkälaisia harjoituksia esimerkiksi tehdään sen ryhmän kanssa, mutta sitten siinä itse toiminnassa tulee aina tietenkin itsellekin uutta ja monesti myös niille osallistujillekin sitten uutta niin kuin esimerkiksi toisista niin kuin ihmisistä tai tarinoista tai tämmöistä. Minusta se on silleen mielenkiintoista just, että siinä ei niin ennalta voi suunnitella sitä toimintaa, vaan joutuu tavallaan sit itsekin elämään siinä mukana siinä, miten se niin kuin tarinat etenee siinä.
Se, että kun eri juttujen kautta ollaan tämän perinteen äärellä, niin se saa niin kuin ihmisiä vähän niin kuin sitä aihetta lähestymään niin kuin eri kulmilta ja vähän miettimään sitä perinteen kokonaisuutta, millaisia perinteitä on, ja sitten zoomaamaan johonkin tiettyyn, että sinne joutuu tekemään vähän niin kuin niitä töitä. Ja sitten kun tekee töitä, niin se alkaa niin kuin kantaa, että siitä alkaa ihmiset niin kuin löytääkin uusia juttuja, siitä, että hei, tämä oli tämmöinen ja tämmöinen ja tämmöinen juttu. Ihmiset alkaa niin kuin itse, vaan kun on käsitellyt sitä perinnettä, niin löytää sitä, että pääsee niin kuin syvemmälle johonkin perinnnekokemukseen. Ja sitten toisaalta pystyy jakamaan sen muille ja saa sen kokemuksen, että mä oon päässyt johonkin syvälle, ja kun mä jaan sitä, niin se jotenkin niin kuin nähdään ja sitä mun juttua niin kuin arvostetaan, ja se on toisten mielestä niin kuin hieno. Niin kyllähän se niin kuin tavallaan tommonen, että tekemällä töitä pääsee syvemmälle ja jakamalla saa niin kuin arvostusta, niin semmoinen niin kuin kyllä siinä tapahtui niin kuin kokonaisuutena.
El més important va ser el que he dit, que la gent descobrira un poc més la seva personalitat, la manera de les seues aptituds a l'hora de fer coses, l'aprendre tradicions, costums, el relacionar-se entre ells. També molt bonico la gent major que està en casa i que moltes voltes està sola en casa, que no té a ningú, l'eixir de casa, el freqüentar, l'enjuntar-se en gent, en aquestes edats aprendre coses noves. És una satisfacció per a ells i per a mi.
Iar foarte interesant pentru că poți să-ți faci singur șablonul și cum să realizezi acel șablon. Cu acea pudră poți să-ți faci conturul desenului respectiv. Și ne-am simțit exact precum niște copii. Wow! Asta pe care o are un copil când dintr-o dată are ceva nou în față. Asta ar trebui să ne dea un pic de gândit. Adică fiind în postura elevului, cel care primește ceva, se bucură că dintr-o dată iese din niște tipare, din niște convenții. Adică nu mai facem ce trebuie să facem noi la școală, adică nu facem fix ceea ce trebuie să facem. Ne folosim imaginația, intrăm pe un teren care ne-a fost aproape străin. Da. Așa, și efectiv ne-am bucurat de această experiență ca niște copii. Niciuna dintre noi nu este maestră în pictură, în desen, dar lucrările noastre, așa cum au ieșit și ele mai puțin bine, ne-au dat bucuria aceea a unui încercări într-o zonă nouă, deci trebuie să vedem lucrurile din perspectiva aceasta a copilului, că și el se bucură de ceea ce înseamnă noutate și probabil că va trebui să le livrăm ceva mai mult pe zona asta, să ieșim din zona convențională și să intrăm în zona asta care, nu știu, cel puțin pentru noi cred că a ținut mai mult de suflet decât de inimă, decât de tehnică, de minte, de rațiune.
Minkälaista se oli työskennellä niiden osallistujien omien perinteiden kanssa? Sieltä tulikin jokaiselta vähän jotain omaa.
Siis koskettavaa tietenkin. Siis koskettavaa ja kiinnostavaa. Kyllähän se on, niin kuin, jos jakaa perinnettä, niin se on samalla niin kuin jotain niin kuin yleisempää ja ihmisiä kannattelevaa ja yhdistävää, mutta myös niin kuin syvästi niin kuin henkilökohtaista. Ja oli semmoista niin kuin tosi hienoa, mitä he jakoi. Joo, se oli hyvä.
That hopefully gave you more food for thought on how you might include the topic of intangible cultural heritage in your activities. And now we're going to turn to the technology part of our project, since one of the goals of the project was also to learn about using technological tools in safeguarding intangible cultural heritage. So Cesar Carrion from Blue Beehive will now talk about the tools we used and what we learned.
In this presentation, we will explain the importance of technology in preserving intangible cultural heritage and how to apply it. First, give a brief overview of some of the technologies being applied in this field and highlight the ones we have used, especially in the Heart Erasmus Plus project, through which we have learned how to preserve intangible cultural heritage. The preservation of intangible cultural heritage is very important because it not only protects the past, but also enriches the present and future of communities. Its preservation is crucial for several reasons, among which we can highlight the following. It helps to maintain and strengthen the cultural identity of communities, providing a sense of belonging and continuity. It contributes to global cultural diversity, enriching humanity with a variety of unique practices and knowledge. It preserves traditional knowledge and skills that are at risk if not identified and passed on from generation to generation. Intangible cultural heritage also fosters social cohesion and intercultural dialogue, promoting respect and understanding between different communities. Finally, it ensures that cultural traditions and practices remain alive and evolve over time, adapting to social and technological changes. In this context, we can speak of the need for digital technology to preserve intangible cultural heritage. As intangible cultural heritage consists of traditions, rituals, and knowledge passed down through generations, its preservation is challenging due to its non-material nature. His type of heritage, unlike tangible heritage, encompasses the practices, expressions, knowledge, and skills that communities recognize as part of their cultural heritage. Digital technology offers essential tools for capturing, documenting, and sharing these cultural treasures. It enhances accessibility, allowing people from all over the world to experience and engage with diverse cultural practices. Through digital documentation, we can safeguard these practices for future generations while also promoting intercultural understanding. Moreover, digital platforms enable the global sharing of intangible heritage, ensuring that these traditions are not lost to time but continue to thrive and evolve. But, how can digital technologies help preserve and transmit intangible cultural heritage? Digital technologies offer a set of powerful tools that can be combined to preserve and transmit the intangible cultural heritage of the people. We first identify those digital technologies as tools for documentation and archiving, such as digitization, 3D modeling, and motion capture systems. Digitization makes it possible to convert analog formats such as audio and video recordings, photographs, and documents into digital archives, ensuring their long-term preservation and facilitating their access and dissemination. 360 videos provide an immersive way to experience cultural heritage. By capturing the environment in every direction, these videos allow viewers to explore cultural events, festivals, or traditional rituals as if they were physically present. This technology enhances engagement by offering a full sensory experience, making intangible heritage more accessible and interactive. Whether it's a traditional dance or a sacred ceremony, 360 degrees videos bring people closer to understanding and preserving cultural heritage from different parts of the world. (3D modeling, using techniques such as photogrammetry and 3D scanning, makes it possible to create three-dimensional digital representations of objects, spaces, and cultural practices, capturing intricate details that might be lost over time. Motion capture systems, such as the use of 360 cameras or systems like Kinect and Leap Motion, which record body movements, allow for the documentation and analysis of dances, rituals, craft techniques, and other performative practices of intangible cultural heritage. Another form of preservation is the creation of interactive and immersive experiences. For this, we name virtual reality, which allows to immerse users in three-dimensional digital environments, recreating historical places and events or allowing to experience cultural practices in an immersive way. Also, augmented reality technology superimposes digital information, such as text, images, and animations, on the real world through devices such as smartphones and tablets, enriching the user experience in museums, historical sites, and cultural events. Digital platforms and mobile apps offer new ways to access information about intangible cultural heritage, sharing stories, connecting with cultural communities, and enabling participation in cultural documentation and revitalization projects. As we have seen, digital technologies offer a powerful set of tools for preserving and transmitting intangible cultural heritage, but their implementation requires a holistic approach involving collaboration, respect for cultural diversity, ethical consideration, and long-term planning. The 3D technologies most commonly used in the preservation of intangible cultural heritage are 3D modeling. This technology allows the creation of three-dimensional digital representations of objects or environments. It is based on photographs and geometric projections, and uses specialized software, such as Unity 3D, Blender, and others. Motion capture with 360 degrees cameras. This technology allows recording the movements of the human body. It is used to document craft skills, dances, and other cultural activities. The data collected is presented in the form of 3D models, which are then visualized in various environments. 3D visualization. This technology allows 3D models to be visualized on a computer. 3D visualization allows researchers to gain a deeper and more intuitive understanding of the models. Virtual reality. This technology creates computer-generated three-dimensional environments that users can interact with or view 360 videos. Virtual reality systems can track the movement of handheld devices or the user's body, creating an immersive experience. They are used to recreate historical events, heritage sites, and cultural experiences. Augmented reality. This technology superimposes images or additional information in the form of text on the images that are captured by the cameras of mobile devices, thus enhancing museum exhibits, providing additional information about heritage sites, and creating interactive experiences. Let us review some examples of the application of digital technologies for the preservation of intangible cultural heritage in crafts, storytelling, and dance. Crafts. 3D motion capture has been used to document traditional decoration techniques in Romania, ceramics in Spain as part of our Erasmus Plus Heart project. These digital records make it possible to analyze movements, understand processes, and pass on knowledge to new generations. Oral storytelling. VR, AR, and 3D modeling are used to create interactive experiences that bring stories, myths, and legends to life. These technologies allow users to visualize and interact with the narratives, creating a more engaging and memorable experience. Dance. Motion capture and photogrammetry are used to document and analyze traditional folk dances. These technologies allow the modeling of movement sequences, the creation of 3D animations, and the development of tools for teaching and learning traditional dances. The implementation of digital technologies for the preservation and transmission of intangible cultural heritage must consider ethical and long-term sustainability aspects. Intellectual property rights. It is crucial to clearly define copyright and ownership of digital materials created from intangible cultural heritage, respecting the rights of communities and creators of cultural heritage. Impact assessment. It is necessary to develop assessment frameworks to measure the impact of digital technologies on the preservation, transmission, and development of intangible cultural heritage, considering both quantitative and qualitative aspects. Training and capacity building. Investment in training and capacity building is required to equip cultural heritage professionals with the digital skills necessary to use technologies effectively and ethically. In our project called Heart, we have learned and used 360 cameras. After making a comparison, we have used a GoPro camera that was more adapted to our needs. learning how to use it and its application was part of our work. The 360 cameras also allow us to capture the environment where the transfer of intangible cultural heritage takes place. The socialization provided by the act of transmission is very important. And, of course, the art educator is fundamental to the success of the communication. Creating communities of preservation of the cultural heritage of each region will strengthen its preservation and transmission. Involving 360 cameras allows the viewer to navigate within the scene and recognize the environments. The physical assistants can share the moment with other participants, and the art educator can transmit the knowledge in a way that is recorded so that it can be reviewed and not lost. A tool used to exhibit the oral tradition and which is also interesting for artists and art educators to present their work is a maze. By means of which we can generate a virtual gallery where we can exhibit the work. In this case, the writer and recoverer of the oral tradition in the Valencian regional language in Spain shows us how to use it. As can be seen, it is a simple tool that generates a visit to a virtual art gallery, where drawings, photographs, or videos can be shown. Finally, we have to pay attention to the disruptive technology of artificial intelligence that will surely allow to improve the restoration and conservation of intangible cultural heritage. Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the way cultural heritage is restored and conserved. By analyzing historical data, images, and patterns, artificial intelligence is making it possible to reconstruct and enhance faded or damaged documents and recordings. This technology allows us to restore traditions and cultural elements that might otherwise be lost. Whether it is reviving old photographs, reconstructing ancient texts, or generating immersive soundscapes, artificial intelligence is undoubtedly a technology that is already being applied in the field of intangible cultural heritage preservation to perform simulations of traditions, ensuring that cultural heritage continues to thrive in the digital age. Thank you very much for your attention. Best regards.
Thank you so much, Cesar. Hopefully that provoked some ideas on how you might incorporate technology in your activities in safeguarding intangible cultural heritage. Our final presentation in this seminar is on the central topic in our project title, i.e. transformative learning and community-based art education. Joona Rantala and Niko Loikkanen from the University of Eastern Finland will now lead us through the main principles of transformative learning, how you can support transformative learning for your learners, and how we supported transformative learning in our activities through art making during the pilot courses.
Transformative learning theory is a powerful framework for understanding how adults can change the way they see the world through learning. Transformative learning means more than just gaining knowledge or skills. It is about fundamentally changing our understanding of the world, our assumptions, and even our values in the process of learning. This theory, developed by Jack Mezirow, describes how adults learn to make meaning of their experiences through critical reflection, dialogue, and experience. To promote transformative learning is also to promote the learner to challenge and transform their meaning perspectives. This is something that the entire toolkit developed in the HEART project tries to ensure, that art educators or other educators can all promote a transformative learning process for the participants of their education. At its core, transformative learning requires us to challenge our existing perspectives and critically examine our frames of reference. These are the deep-rooted beliefs and assumptions we have formed, often unconsciously, through socialization. Through reflection, we can bring these frames into our awareness and change them. In this picture, you can see the three key pillars that support transformative learning. These are critical reflection, dialogue, and experience. Critical reflection is where we deeply think about our experiences and question our assumptions. Dialogue means where we exchange ideas with others and open ourselves up to new perspectives, and experience means learning directly from life experiences, often through hands-on engagement. But there's another crucial element, which is empathy. By understanding the emotions involved in learning and putting ourselves in others' shoes, we reduce judgment and open ourselves to new and shared understandings. You are now probably thinking that if I want to facilitate a transformative learning process, what should I do? Here are some things to consider, but you can find more information and methods we used in our project in the digital toolkit. You should provide new information as a resource that should be incorporated by the learner into things they already know. You should help learners to recognize their earlier understandings of the subject first. You should help learners to participate in discussion. You should encourage them to be open about their frames of reference and sharing their thoughts. Guide learners to critical reflection. You should encourage learners to reflect on their understanding of the subject. As an educator, you should also act rather as a facilitator than an authority on the subject. You should also aim to create a learning environment that supports shared problem solving and peer collaboration, empathy and openness, and acceptance of diversity and equal opportunities for participation. You should also make sure that the learners fully understand transformation as a process. These are just some suggestions. It is important to note that in practice, transformative learning can happen through various methods such as group projects, role-playing, or case studies. These kinds of activities, for example, encourage reflection and dialogue, helping participants to see things differently and thus experiencing transformative learning. Next, we invite you to take part in a short Padlet activity. Your task is to think, what is your latest transformative learning experience? You have 5 minutes to think about these experiences and then fill out the Padlet. Thank you. In the HEART project, community-based art education was the way to help participants reflect on their cultural heritage. While working in the project pilots, people began to appreciate the value of their intangible cultural heritage and understand its importance to both them and their communities as a whole. Here you can see some of the participant questionnaire comments related to transformative learning that we got from our pilot participants. So, transformative learning as a whole in practice in the case of cultural heritage can mean that before you didn't care or think about cultural heritage, but after going through a workshop or some other transformative experience or a moment in your life, you start to become more conscious of cultural heritage and do some critical reflection and adopt new views or behaviors that respect your own or someone else's cultural heritage more. Through learning more about the many meanings that intangible cultural heritage has regarding to the individuals and communities' identities and lifestyles, culture and society, as well as promotion of human rights, new frames of references are built. Earlier I said that in our project, community-based art education was the way we made our participants reflect on their own cultural heritage. Community-based art is an artistic activity that is based in a community setting. This is characterized by interaction or dialogue with the community members and often involves a professional artist or an art educator collaborating with people who may not otherwise engage in art activities. The premise of community art is that anyone can participate and create art regardless of age, socioeconomic status, gender, or ability. Everyone joins from their own starting points and is welcome as they are. Collaborative art making fosters a sense of community and belonging. It gives participants meaningful roles with a process-oriented approach that values experiences over the outcomes. Community-based art education is an effective way to explore the constantly evolving phenomena of intangible cultural heritage. Studies show that art making contributes uniquely to transformative learning. It helps us rethink our preconceptions and connects us more deeply to the creative process. Whether it's understanding art itself, seeing ourselves as artists, or approaching creativity in a new way, transformative learning often emerges from the act of creating something. In the HEART project, we used community-based art education as a method to create transformative learning. During our pilot projects, we employed various art-based methods with different pilot groups, and here are some examples of the methods that we used. You can find all of these methods and their descriptions in the digital toolkit. The main takeaway here is that transformative learning is about more than learning. It is also about growth. It helps us become more open, empathic, and reflective individuals. By integrating this theory into education, Especially in art and cultural heritage, we create environments that foster not just knowledge, but real personal transformations. Through critical reflection, dialogue, and experience, transformative learning allows us to see the world and ourselves in a whole new light. Thank you for watching.
Those very uplifting words end the presentation part of our seminar, and we are now ready to move to Zoom to start the question and answer session. So the link is there in the chat as well as in the video description and in the Padlet. And we'll just take a small break here while we wait for everyone to join the Zoom. So stretch your limbs and have a sip of water, and we will see you shortly on Zoom. And for those of you leaving us at this point or watching this through the recording, we want to thank you for being here, and we hope you will go and browse the toolkit, gain lots of inspiration from it, and we would certainly love to also hear from you regarding any new ideas you gain from it. Have a nice day.